What's going on? Welcome to Now to Play Games. I am one of your hosts, John, and with me is the Spaghetti Man himself. It's Finn. Finn, I have a very specific thing I need to ask you. I need to know on the spot. I need to know how you feel about me saying this. Just pure reaction.
To Spaghetti Man or the other thing?
No, what I'm about to say right now. Yeah,
okay.
Well, I'm going to want like how you feel about the Spaghetti Man, but I want to know what you feel about what I'm about to say right now.
Okay.
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti.
Truer words were never spoken. Yeah, it's about how I feel right now. 8 Mile, legitimately one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
Love that freaking movie. Great lyricist. That's about all I can say.
Okay. All right.
What made that come to your mind, John?
Well, did you know that Marshall Mathers, Eminem himself, has made a place that you can go eat, a restaurant called Mom's Spaghetti in Detroit?
I saw that on Twitter. I thought it was a joke. I didn't realize it was real. I'm way more enthused about going to Detroit now than I ever have been.
Yes. It is a full-on place called Mom's Spaghetti in Detroit. Eminem surprised guests, this is from CNN, surprised guests by serving up pasta at the grand opening of his Mom's Spaghetti restaurant in downtown Detroit on Wednesday. He was there for minutes, by the way. I shit you not, okay. Minutes.
He was there, took a photo, and bounced.
Pretty much.
He's a busy dude. He doesn't have to be in a spaghetti.
He was there. He was there for minutes and like helped the first 10 people.
Right.
That's it. The first 10 people got to take pictures with Eminem and was able to get the order from him with Mom's Spaghetti. There are like 4 things on this menu. It's Mom's Spaghetti with meatballs, a sketty sandwich, and then an ace. Go ahead.
They have a vegan option there. I respect that, yeah. I don't know if Eminem's vegan, but hey, he's looking out for the vegans.
A vegan option, spaghetti with vegan balls.
John, did you know that in 1957, the BBC did an April Fool's joke on their nightly news show Panorama, where they tried to convince people that spaghetti grew on trees. And so they came in with a live report from Switzerland, of all places, showing the spaghetti harvest.
What?
And because it's 1957 and it's on your TV, you think it's real. It's like, okay, I guess spaghetti
does
grow on
again?
trees.
Is this freaking collusion again?
I just gave her the video file.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, hold on, look. Oh my God, they're really, like, I actually now have a feed that I can see what's on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they take the spaghetti down when it's in season, which I imagine is...
This was a bumper crop. I listened to a little bit of the video, and this was a bumper crop of spaghetti.
Mm-hmm. A whole bushel, you could say, of spaghetti.
It's a bushel of spaghetti. That's where we're at. Oh... my goodness. You know what with that? Welcome to Now to Play Games. This is your weekly news dump about all the video game news you need to know about. We do this live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. British here on twitch.tv/Now to Play Games with exclusive post show for all you here watching live right now, twitch.tv Now to Play Games. If you can't hang with us live, don't worry about it. We got you covered. Go subscribe to the Now to Play Games YouTube channel and bam, we're here. Live streams are here. The Playdate podcast, which should be out this week. Yes, Finn?
Yes, Monday. I'm aiming for.
Okay, cool. Monday, the Playdate podcast is coming back, and all the other wacky, fun stuff that we are going to do for you, all about gaming, just to make you smile, and so we can talk about gaming. If you're listening to our beautiful voices on podcast services, follow us there and review us. It actually 100% helps. Tell random people, tell people at your work, scream at the person that's eating a donut right now to follow Now to Play Games. Find us on Now to Play Games on social media, on Instagram and Twitter. And with all of that, guys, let's load up 7 news stories we have, including GTA Remastered. Is it finally happening? A TGS Roundup, because that's happening right now. But first, Sony has decided to go blue. And everyone's probably going, John, they're already blue. That is their logo. Yes, you are 100% correct. That is their logo. But finally, after speculation, Sony Japan's Twitter accidentally leaking it. Blue Point has been acquired by Sony, and Blue Point is now a first-party studio. I'm pulling from Jonathan Dornerbush. Hey, Dorno, call me, baby. I love you. From IGN. Demon's Souls was released last November, while Blue Point isn't officially announcing its next game, Thrush, who is the president and CEO, explained that the studio is aiming to work on original content going forward. No exact details about the original content Blue Point is working on will be what it is right now, so it remains unclear if a new game is a part of an existing IP or something new entirely. I completely screwed up with what I'd put in there, so that's actually talking about Blue Point wants to make its own game. Like, I flipped what I actually wanted to say. That is my fault on my own notes. So yeah, Blue Point wants to make its own game. In this acquisition, President Marco Thrush actually said, our next game we're working on is original content right now. We can't talk about that, what it is, but that's the next step in our evolution for us. Let's see. Thrush said, noting that even with remakes like Shadow and Souls, the studio was already partially creating original content. He explains now, really, the growth of the studio, both in the literal number of employees as well as types of projects, naturally lead to this next step, especially given the team's pedigree. The transition from remakes to remasters was to test ourselves and push ourselves harder for the next step, Thrush said, noting the team was about 15 people during the production of the original God of War collection. Right now is at 70 employees and grew to 95 at its peak during the production of Demon's Souls. Our team is a very highly experienced team. The average experience among people is about 15 years. All of them come from original development. It's not like we're a bunch of developers that got trained up on making remasters and remakes. We have that original game development mindset in our hearts, and that's what we're finally ready with the support of Sony to push forward and show what we can do and show what PlayStation can do, he said. Highlights from this, everything going on with this whole thing is that Blue Point, the main reason why like Sony, Herman Hulst, and everyone, they were like, let's go ahead and do this, was Herman Hulst has been in the indie development scene, been on his own, and he knows what it's like to actually like be alone. So it's taking all that pressure off of Blue Point. You have the safety net that is Sony. Now was the time. They sat down, they literally right after Demon's Souls was finished, they sat down and started talking. Both sides were in full agreement of this one. Everyone was happy. Finn, are you happy?
I'm very happy with this. I always love to see a studio, not always like when they don't want to, but Blue Point clearly got their bread and butter off of remastering, remaking Sony first-party stuff, and they grew to an amazing size because of it. So I'm glad to see that they're getting finally the recognition I feel like they deserve, and are now getting the push forward to make whatever the hell they want, to be honest.
That's a good point. Like, it's still like up in the air what original game like means.
What do you think it means?
I've gone back and forth. Like, while I was doing some research on this one, I found one article about, since when we were recording this, about 3 hours ago, talking that some insider has said that they've talked to someone and that there is a original game about the size of Miles Morales, and that they're working on a remake of a very beloved game. I did a little research into the supposed leaker, and I was like, okay, I can't really take this at full value. Mm-hmm. But what I would like, I think that'd be kind of cool. Just kind of dip your toes in something small, but it's straight from the hearts, minds, and souls of the people at Blue Point, where they have full creative control. Because I mean, since they've been remaking, they know how it works. Like they're in, like Marco Thrush said, it's not like they're like, all right, we went to school to learn how to remake games, and we already have this pretty much the bones, the foundation from the game that someone else did, and we can just go clean it up, put it together, make it look better. I think I actually would like to see them actually make their own game. Now, size-wise, I don't know. I think a 10, 15-hour game would be 100% cool, mainly because I don't know how you feel, but I don't know if I want them to turn away from their bread and butter, that is the remakes, and then now with Demon's Souls, full on like remasters, and where they literally clean it, full fresh coat of paint, and it is done in a better way, where it is Like, Demon Souls was jank on the PlayStation 3. At least on the PlayStation 5, it plays better. And logically, in a sense of gaming, makes more sense. So I don't want them to turn away from it, but I think it would make more sense to, like, all right, let's dip our toes in something small, keep on building that concept of original stuff that we can do for Sony, and then keep on pulling in Sony properties that do need the love, do need that. Oh, let's introduce it to a new sort of gamer that wasn't live or would have never thought about picking up something in the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 era.
Right. For me, I think it could be four possible things, right? It could be, when you talk about original content, it could be a next step up from what they've done before. So you have the remasters with the God of War collection, which were just essentially upscaling with a bit of quality of life tweaks. Then you move on to Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus, which are remakes, but still one-to-one. Yeah. They still are mimicking a game that has existed before. Original content could be a reimagining of a game that's not to one-to-one scale. So I'm thinking maybe something on the scale of Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? Obviously not one-to-one with the original FF7. So it could be something on that scale, maybe with an IP that we already know. Original content could even mean a known IP, but something that hasn't been adapted into a game before, like a book or a TV show that hasn't entered the gaming space before. It could mean a sequel to something that already exists in a series that maybe hasn't been touched in a long time. Or it could mean what, like, the name would imply, original content. It could be a completely new IP, completely out of the mind of Bluepoint, which honestly, I would take any of the four of those at this point. I think it would be a lot safer and I'd be a lot more assured as a consumer if it was working on something that already exists, because that's what I love about Bluepoint, what makes them unique, and where you go to for those kind of things. But at the same time, I'll always favour a studio breaking off and doing something weird if they want to do something weird. Whether Sony wants them to do that is that why they bought them, right? Yeah. Is that something they would want to do if the reports are to be believed that Sony are risk averse now? But then you also look at something like Returnal, where they are willing to take a risk on a studio going to the next level and trying something completely out there, despite the fact that they may have found success in other places before. So, I don't know. I like to think that Bluepoint have some weird ideas. Again, they all do come from original game development, so there's got to be a lot of cool ideas in there that haven't been used. And I feel like it would be the logical next step, but there are definitely still a few IPs that I would like to see them take a crack at.
Yeah, you make a good point. I was actually going to bring that up as the risk-adverse concept that Sony talked about earlier this year, and maybe it is just, hey, you know what? Go ahead and take either this idea or I like your idea of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think that might be the standard we now look at when it comes to, we're not just remaking it. It is its own fleshed out, brand new thing. And it's funny, too, because I was talking with someone at work. We both beat Final Fantasy VII Remake. We both tried to go back and play the original Final Fantasy. I can't do it. I'm going to be absolutely honest. I cannot go and play that game. It is just way too slow for me. And so I'm wondering, like, what could that concept be of taking a game Bluepoint could get its hands on? We know it as this, like, we know it as A, and they completely change it to, like, F or something like that. And it's a completely different thing. It still has at least the soul of the game there, and the love is still there, but it is something so wildly different that I would be completely fine. We would be completely okay with doing it, to be honest with you.
If you want an example, there's an IP that I could name here, but I know we're going to talk about it later in the show, so I don't know if we should touch on it.
I think I know what you're going to talk about, because I was going to say something, and I was like, you know what, we're going to talk about something.
Down. Okay,
yeah, because it's not there anymore, so we can't talk about that yet. So, yeah. All right. You have some Sony stuff, too, to talk about.
Yeah. So it wasn't the only acquisition that Sony made this week, or, well, kind of. So a few weeks on the show, or we didn't cover on the show, but Sony did acquire another studio, Firesprite, which is a Liverpool-based studio. They previously worked on VR games. They worked on The Playroom, which is an Astro's Playroom that was developed by Team Asobi. The Playroom was the introduction to VR on the PS4, starring Astrobot and the other little Astrobot-like things. So that's what they worked on previously. They've been working on other games since then. But On Wednesday, Firesprite have announced that they themselves have acquired another studio, Manchester team called Fabrik, spelled with a K.
Okay.
That means the employee count for that combined studio is now at 265, which that was interesting, especially since you brought up that Bluepoint is somewhere around 100 people now, so they have like double, triple that. So
yeah,
that's interesting to see how big they are now. Fabrik was founded by a former Firesprite developer who went on to break off into their own studio. I don't think there was any ill will there because they ended up collaborating on another project down the line. So it was just, I think it was an issue or not an issue, but a move where Sony was buying Firesprite and they were like, hey, we'll throw in Fabrik to you to clearly work very well together and we need the manpower. So I feel like this isn't a thing that Firesprite was doing themselves and then Sony bought them before they could do it. It was a thing where, okay, we're going to buy you and then you buy them and we'll just merge.
All collectively was at the same time, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting to see. Hard to know what they're going to work on. They have 2 games in development, a multiplayer shooter and a narrative dark adventure game, I think it was. Not saying if either of those 2 are in VR or whether they're native console games, but they're definitely very quickly trying to reintroduce themselves to the UK video game scene. I can't remember what studio it was. I think it was actually Sony Liverpool or Sony Manchester that they previously had but then shut down. So this is sort of another way for them to re-enter that space. They're called Sony Worldwide Studios, so why not have it in a thing like that? But I think the main story here is that Sony are always looking to buy studios that they work well with and that they have a history with. They're not just buying studios willy-nilly. They're like, okay, we can work well with you, we can trust you, we can just give you funding, support, and manpower, and you can make the thing we want you to make.
Yeah.
And then after the Bluepoint news today, the PlayStation guys said in a follow-up that further acquisitions are always on the table. They're always looking for new studios to build relationships with and bringing people in-house, but only if they adhere to the quality first mentality and right kind of innovative content, new experience, diverse experience, etc. So I guess we're thinking like Housemarque and Bluepoint were the 2 names that we had up there for a long time as, they're going to buy these people eventually.
Yeah.
Who's next? You know, I'm trying to think in my head who does Sony work well with that we could sort of pick out next and say, hey, they're going to buy them. I have a few ideas.
What are your ideas? Tell me. I wonder if we're going to cross over.
They've announced a lot of partnerships with small upstart indie studios like Jade Raymond's Haven Studio, like the other studio that I can't remember the name of, but was at the Summer Games Fest opening kickoff show, right? And they announced they had a partnership with them.
Yeah.
Former, I think, Sledgehammer Call of Duty devs. I forget the name of that studio, but I think once either of those 2 release their first game under Sony, then that's when the acquisition thought starts coming into their minds. I don't think any more like big names at this point are going to get swiped up. Obviously, Bluepoint and Housemarque were pretty sizable names, but I don't think we're going to see like a Double Fine or, by God, do they not have the resources to buy Bethesda, but they're not going to buy Obsidian, things of that level, I don't think, for a little while at least.
Yeah, I have a feeling like you said, like the triple or the double A's, because Jade Raymond Studio, I think we'll see that pop up when it comes to who Sony might pick up from there. But the whole big sweeping, let's grab everyone and pull them in, I think we're kind of tapering off. And now it's all right, let them see what they're going to do. And let's get everyone underneath the umbrella. Let's get them all working. I mean, we saw that with Xbox's E3. Like we're finally seeing the fruits of all of that stuff going down. And I'm really, really excited for Xbox's stuff. I would say if Sony picked up anyone, there's one out there that I don't think we've really talked about that is in this weird freaking limbo. And I don't think they'll actually buy them, but I'm going to throw out Warner Brothers Interactive. They're in limbo right now with everything going on. So getting them underneath it, that's just one more piece that Sony has. And there's a lot of literal, like, known IPs that you have. And just think about the idea of them having Warner Brothers, because they're already working well with Sony.
Mm-hmm.
To have Warner Brothers, so you have the console that has Spider-Man and Batman, the two biggest superhero names, period. That is juggernaut style concepts right there. I know
Insomniac can't make all the superhero games.
No, they cannot. And let's be honest. While Insomniac has actually gotten to that echelon of, this is how you make a superhero game, we can't forget that they're built off the idea of what Batman Arkham City, which I know was Rocksteady, but still that core is still there within Warner Brothers itself. So I think that would be kind of a fun one. And then I'll say it. I'll say it for everyone. FromSoft. I would just FromSoft. FromSoft would be the next one I would take a look at if I was Sony.
That would be such a blow to PC gaming, to Xbox gaming, not so much to Nintendo, but
no. And trust me, I know what I'm saying, because FromSoft is they're everywhere, and so but I could see Sony really kind of looking at, hey, you want to come over here, and we'll do Bloodborne 2, and yes, 100% yes, please, for the love of God, yes.
You know what, I don't see Warner Brothers, but I do see within that Avalanche. Avalanche is a great
Avalanche, pick. Avalanche, I can see that.
Because obviously Sony are interested in fighting games. They bought Evo. They have a great relationship with most console-based fighting games, including Mortal Kombat, including Injustice. So they have worked with them in the past. I don't know to this level that the sort of Housemarques and Blue Points of the world have worked with them, but I could definitely see that as one of the bigger options that they might be looking at. Yeah.
I think Kojima's off the table, just from how
Kojima will work with them.
Yeah, I think Kojima and Sony will be very, very close, but it will never be Kojima's is a Sony first party. Mm-hmm. I don't think so.
Yeah. We can maybe talk about that a little later.
Yeah, maybe.
But in the third acquisition story of the week, it's always a good time whenever I get to load up a podcast doc and realize that there's been an acquisition. It's always juicy. And also it's kind of scary, again, consolidating of business, money just all going to one place scares me, but it's always a juicy story at the very least, and an interesting topic on the podcast. To wit, Netflix acquires Night School Gaming Studio. Brief encounter on who is Night School. They are an indie studio, formerly an indie studio, I should say, based in California, who specialize in 2D side-scrolling narrative adventure games. They developed Oxenfree in 2016, which I loved, Afterparty more recently in 2019, and are currently working on Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals, aimed for a 2022 release. As part of the press release for this acquisition, Night School said that they want to stretch our narrative and design aspirations across distinctive original games with heart. Netflix gives film, TV, and now game makers an unprecedented canvas to create and deliver excellent entertainment to millions of people. Our explorations in narrative gameplay and Netflix's track record of supporting diverse storytellers was such a natural pairing, it feels like both teams came to this conclusion instinctively. And they just really quickly wanted to mention that they're still working on Oxenfree 2, and they'll keep cooking up new game worlds beyond that. John, I want to ask you, does this announcement mean anything to you? Have you played any Night School games before? Where did this sit with you?
Rose and I tried to play, actually we tried to do a let's play of Oxenfree, and we found out it's a little harder for our style of comedy. We haven't gone back to actually play Oxenfree. I know of how the story alone of how well it's put together and how well it's directed and all that stuff. So I don't take anything away from that. How this one hit was, this is that one that all right, battle lines are being drawn in the sand. We're used to Sony. We're used to Xbox. We're used to sort of Nintendo. We're used to that. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's Netflix going, hey, Night School, they're ours. And you're just like, I'm sorry, what are you doing? And that's how it felt like. All right, now Netflix is like, we're going to be a player in this. We've announced that we want to do video games, but now, because of just people love Oxenfree, Afterparty was a very well accepted game, or very well reviewed. People liked the game. People lost their ever-loving shit when Oxenfree 2 was announced. I think this is Netflix going, no, we're not effing around. we're going to do this too, and we're going to do it the Netflix way. And I actually fully agree with like the diverse storytelling. You can find anything, practically anything on Netflix. Like they have just gone like, make a good story, let people enjoy it, go nuts. And I think that really does work for Night School.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Oxenfree 1. Haven't played After Party yet because I bought it after Halloween was over and I didn't get to play it. So I've been waiting all year for this Halloween so I can sit down and play it.
I didn't play it because I bought it and I was like, Finn, are you on the right podcast?
Right, I bought it and then I just waited and then like I was busy, and so after Halloween passed I was like, I'll try it again next year. So I'm going to play it this year because I love Oxenfree 1. Really, really good storytelling game. Very like dialogue and writing focused, which is I think why Netflix was interested in them in the first place, their ability to tell stories. So it's one of those ones I definitely wasn't expecting because Netflix, since entering the gaming space, haven't made an acquisition like this. Yeah. But once you see it, you're like, makes sense, I'm for it. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Still excited for Oxenfree 2. Will that release on Netflix? I don't know.
That's going to be the weirdest one, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it's a Netflix only game, and I know you're about to get into it, just how do you, like, the way to play Oxenfree 2, one of the ways now could be what you're about to explain to us, which just, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one.
Right. So yeah, the question on everyone's mind is why Netflix? Why Night School? Why did this happen? I sort of looked into it, and like it seems like there might be a bit of a history and maybe a bit of a reason why Netflix would have had Night School on their radar for their first big acquisition like this. They developed, which I didn't know, a mobile application game thing for the Mr. Robot Amazon TV show a while back, which was essentially you loaded up the app. It wasn't clear when you downloaded it was a Mr. Robot licensed thing. It was just like a weird long name that looked like a virus. And it was the gimmick of it was you were on a hacked phone and you were like typing back and forth with this stranger, and it was all text based, which is sort of the bread and butter for Night School. And it looks pretty cool. I never tried it back in the day. I didn't know it existed. But yeah, they've worked with licensed IP before. And then I found off the top of that Night School were working on another mobile game based on Stranger Things, the Netflix series, which was going to be published by Telltale Games. You know how that story ends. So that project got cancelled when Telltale shut down. But I guess whatever Netflix saw in Night School, whatever they had made with their small team at the time, impressed them. So yeah, they ended up cancelling that game. And there was a report from The Verge basically summing it all up, and a representative from Night School said it was a huge opportunity. We were planning on making that a big part of our portfolio and not just some side project. Night School was promised a direct line to the Duffer Brothers. Don't know who they are. They Stranger Things people.
They're the ones that made Stranger Things, yeah.
Right. And creative collaboration, much like their work with Mr. Robot. We thought that this would be that, but on a much bigger scale, it was kind of the opposite. So yeah, just some more stuff in that article about the fall of Telltale. It's an interesting read if you're interested in that sort of thing. But yeah, this sort of back when we were the old named podcast, which I won't mention here, but we did talk about Netflix entering the gaming space.
Yes.
We were sort of making bets on how that was going to look. And I made a lot of statements about what I thought it would look like. I thought it would be simple mobile games only. I thought it would be maybe incorporate some VR, not necessarily games, but more storytelling things. And I guess I was wrong. So for the large part, they are still rolling out quite slowly. All the games you can play right now are on mobile and in very select countries. I think Poland and Italy and Spain were the current three to have access to this at all. So yeah, it's games like Solitaire and like weird things that you can play on your phone, really simple stuff. Yeah. But I guess in the future, in the mid to long term future, they are looking for this to be a Game Pass competitor. They are looking for PC console based gaming experiences, which is way more interesting than I thought it initially was. I don't know if Night School's new project is going to be, like I said, making a Stranger Things game or just other Netflix licensed IP, whether it's going to be original stuff. But either way, you would assume that they're trying to tackle the indie game scene, right?
Yeah.
That hardcore gamers would know who Night School is. So there's got to be more of these coming.
That's the thing. Yes.
Yeah.
I would 100% say yes. Like,
go.
So, and that's the, like, pretty much like Netflix. Here we are. We're doing this. We're going to go ahead and play this game, with you guys. And, I really, my biggest concern now is I think they can do it. They have the infrastructure to pull off like this concept of games. Because exactly. And I think we even said this, like, how's it going to work? Like through your Netflix console, like we watch Netflix on our PlayStation. Like, are we going through, here's all the stuff. Oh, here are your games. And do you automatically like start streaming the game from Netflix? And like, how does that work? That is my next step. Like, I got the mobile part. I follow that logic. That's easy. But now, like, how do you include more people? How do you make it more enticing for people to actually play your game through a controller concept? And like, are we going to get like an Amazon Luna thing? Are we going to get like I said, PlayStation, Xbox, forget the Switch, and it just automatically connects, and you're like, all right, I can now play my game on Netflix streaming connected to the controller that we already have. That's now where I'm at. Like, yeah, there's going to be more acquisitions. There have to be. You can't hinge this whole thing on Night School. It's not. They're great, but you need more than just that.
Right, because Oxenfree came out in 2016, After Party in 2019, Oxenfree 2 looking to be 2022. That's a game every 3 years.
Yeah.
Which isn't enough to build a whole gaming business around. I definitely think that just logging on to Netflix, having the games be there and being able to put them up in the cloud is where they want to go and where they want the industry to be now. But I think with the guy they have in charge now, I forget his name, but he has a good head on his shoulders, clearly. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to be wise to know that it's not going to be that for the next few years, at least for most of their market, US-based market, European market. So for the largest time, it's going to have to be either download focused, where, so on the smartphone app, the games only appear if you're on the smartphone app. It doesn't appear on the list if you're in, like normal Netflix PC stuff or in console or whatever. It only appears if you're on the smartphone. So I could see it working on, similar to the Xbox PC app, where you're on the Netflix app through the Windows Store. If you're on that, it'll say, here's some games you can download. Or maybe if you're in a browser, it recognizes you're on a Windows PC, hey, here's some games you can download.
Yeah.
So maybe it does that. Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo are not going to allow you to download games to their console through a Netflix app. That's just not going to happen.
They're not going to do it, yeah. It has to stream from there.
So I think Netflix may be an option for them to release Oxenfree 2 on. Maybe they want to consider that, but they're also going to have to release it as a standalone game and just take the hit for that. Until cloud gaming becomes bigger, they're just going to have to use Night School and whoever else they purchase just as a normal game studio as they build this plethora of studios, right?
Yes.
And they're just going to have to say, okay, make a game based on our stuff, maybe add some microtransactions in there and bring in the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Building then to when cloud gaming is a bigger thing, and then they can say, flip the switch, all of our games are on Netflix, come hang out.
Yep. Before we put a pen in, I'm just going to say the funniest thing when it comes to Netflix is, and chat, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is right. Netflix, their online infrastructure is run by AWS, Amazon Web Services, and they have Amazon Luna. So there's this weird concept that Amazon Luna is streaming your games along with Netflix at the same time because they both use AWS. I find that hilarious. That's just me in the how big games are and how many players there actually are. But when you start going up the chain, there's like five companies that run something.
Yeah, buy a subscription to Amazon Prime, go to Luna, go to the Netflix channel and play Oxenfree 2.
Yeah. You theoretically, you will be able to do that. Crazy time. All right. Tokyo Game Show. It is happening right now as we speak. Started on Thursday. Finn and I are going to go back and forth, giving you quick recaps of what is going on, what's going down, all that fun stuff. Finn, I believe you are starting with Xbox, yes?
Yeah, so the conference is taking place across 4 days. We're now on day 3. I don't think anything big has happened today. So we're going to cover the 2 previous days that have happened. Started on day 1, which was Thursday with Xbox. The first thing is Phil Spencer was there just hanging out saying how much they want Japan to mean to Xbox and how they're working every single day to increase their lineup of Japanese games on Xbox. We know it's really important to fans and customers on Xbox. Earlier in the show, Spencer reiterated that Japan is the fastest growing market for Xbox anywhere in the world, and it's clear that the company wants to make that the best of that burgeoning interest. To it, I've said that twice this show and I'm liking it, so I'm going to keep doing it. To it, they have added several games to their Xbox Game Pass streaming service, including Scarlet Nexus, which is available right now. They also announced that AI The Somnium Files, which is another Japanese game developed by the creators of the Zero Escape series, is coming to Game Pass later on. And also a game called Mighty Goose, which is not from Japan, but I guess they just wanted to plug that here. That's a Denmark-based publisher, Holland-based studio. Don't know why they included that, but anyway.
That game looks freaking awesome. Is it the
Mighty Goose?
Yeah, isn't that it almost kind of looks like not Advance Wars, but the other one, like the 2D side scrolling where it's just over the top. God, I think that's the right one because the Tactics game is coming out. Metal Slug. It kind of looks like a Metal Slug if I'm thinking of the right game.
Right, I think it's based on that, but yeah,
but you're just a damn goose.
Right.
Hell yeah. All right, cool. I'm glad that one's on Game Pass because I actually want to play that one.
I'm going to recommend AI The Somnium Files as well because that game is fantastic and more people should play it. And the second one's coming out, I think, next year, which I'm very excited for. They also announced as part of the showcase that Starfield will feature full Japanese localization. Great.
Cool. More games.
Yeah. Also, they announced that Xbox Game Pass cloud gaming has launched in Japan and other worldwide markets as well, including Australia, Brazil, and Mexico. That means that Xbox Cloud Gaming is now available in 26 countries. And they said since cloud gaming is powered by custom Xbox Series X consoles, that means that games are being played on an Xbox in the cloud, bringing faster load times and improved frame rate to the gameplay experience. So yeah, a lot of Japanese-centric stuff, as you could be imagined for Tokyo Game Show. Xbox historically not very well liked in Japan. Not that they're disliked, but they just haven't been as successful in Japan as some of their other markets. How do we feel about the sort of push that they're making towards Japan? As mentioned, it's their fastest growing market. They seem to be thinking about it a lot.
I think it's the right move. Yeah. That's the thing. I truly think this is the right move. Like, this is one of those things that when you think of Japan, you have Sony, you have Nintendo. And Nintendo's even said they're the ones trying to like, hey, you know what? You might have a PlayStation 5, but you probably have like 2 or 3 Switches in your household. And I agree with that. And I think this is the right move for Xbox because that's always, I don't want to say holding them back, but kind of has been, is that they've just not been able to tap that market that is Japan. And rightfully so, because there's never been real games that kind of catered to that market. And so with Phil and what they're trying to do, I mean, just the Japanese Starfield language alone is a big like, hey, here we're coming. We've got games for you. Go.
Oh boy, they're coming.
Oh, and they are coming. Because, I mean, with now Japan, with Xbox streaming, we already know Japan has a freaking fantastic infrastructure for streaming games. Now we're just like, now Xbox like, hey, we're here too. Get Game Pass. You have 100 freaking games. Mm-hmm. And I think it's I do think it's the right move. If you're still subscribed to the console wars and all that crap, I just want Xbox to do good, because if Xbox does good in Japan, then Sony and Nintendo have to do better. And competition breeds better stuff for us consumers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's one of those things where obviously their 2 biggest competitors, Sony and Nintendo, both being Japanese companies with their headquarters in Japan and founded in Japan, obviously have that foothold there. They have a lot of game development studios and partnerships based on there. It's one of those things where the Japanese audience have a specific type of gaming preference for a lot of things, and that translates well outside of Japan, but doesn't translate as well the other way. So like people in America and Europe tend to really like Japanese games for their style.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily work the other way. Japanese gamers seem to like Japanese games and that sort of genre a lot. I'm generalizing, obviously.
Yes.
Like, there's lots of different, what's the word I'm looking for? Exceptions to that rule.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where Xbox are very clearly making a push. I don't think they're going to make headwind until they have 1, 2, 3 Japanese studios working on games for that audience. Whether they want to go that way about it or whether they just keep wanting to make these like little steps towards that market, I don't know. But it's interesting, yeah. We've already talked about Kojima once in this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like that would be the big thing too. Just like if Kojima's like, yeah, I'm making an Xbox game, and it kind of coincides with this announcement. Like if we find out early next year that Kojima's next game is an Xbox exclusive, everything, all those pieces line up, and now you have. As in the Japanese market, you have more of a reason to actually like, all right, let me take a look at this game, especially since most likely not going to be on Xbox and Game Pass. There's no, I don't think that would do that. So you'd actually have to buy an Xbox Series to actually get the game. And I think you're right. I think they need to look at those, the Japanese developers to try and get that goodwill, I guess, if you will, or as Woozy said in chat, find some uncensored anime stuff and put that on Game Pass too, and then everyone wins. And I don't know, you might. That is a business model.
I think Game Pass could be a great ticket to that for one, because
the
they don't have
anime
to
stuff?
buy studios. They don't have to get exclusives. Okay. They just have to have enough. Sorry, I did a weird segue there.
It just ran right past my eyes. I was like, oh, okay. You know what? I'm down. I don't care.
I had it queued up in my head, and then you sort of sabotaged me. Just so, we're just going to move on. But if they keep adding things like Scarlet Nexus, like the Somnium Files to Game Pass, even if it's only for Japan, they have these certain games on the service, then that's going to be huge for them, as well as their big push towards cloud gaming, making Xbox games available on mobile is going to be huge for Japan, because Xbox don't have a handheld console. They don't have PlayStation anymore.
These are the PlayStation.
I think the Vita's still popping off.
I think it's still doing pretty well, but yes, because mobile games are still very big in Japan and China. That is their bread and butter is mobile games.
Yeah. And then Capcom was up
Capcom.
next.
I'm Capcom. I did Capcom.
I'm Spartacus.
Yes, I'm Spartacus. I'm Capcom. All right, so in Capcom stuff, we actually got the Sunbreak expansion for Monster Hunter. We got a new Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak trailer. The expansion's coming out in 2022. We got some little tidbits about what's going on, thanks to IGN. Apparently, you can only access the expansion after finishing the 7-star quest, Serpent Goddess of Thunder. That's a lot of words. I've played Monster Hunter Rise, but I'm nowhere close to that. It also introduced a new Master Race level for all quests. And then, quoting from the IGN article, after finishing that quest, you'll be able to take your hunter on a journey, leaving behind the core games hub, Kamaru Village, and taking you to a brand new base of operations which hasn't been revealed. The eerie location we saw in the game's introductory trailer was confirmed to be a new hunting locale, complete with castle ruins to scale using your wire bugs. And what I actually, as someone who has kind of been walked through Monster Hunter and how it works, and Rise was my first full introduction to Monster Hunter. I freaking love this. I think this is great. Obviously, Monster Hunter World is pretty much what helped a lot of people jump in on the Monster Hunter concept and Monster Hunter game. Rise to me was just enough of, hey, here's a little bit of this, here's a little bit of that. And what it sounds like, and I've got to find this real fast if I can, I thought I read somewhere in the article that you're actually being other monsters. Yeah, we'll see a number of returning monsters from older games, including the Shogun, Centaur, which got a trailer introduction of its own. So I like this idea that this new world, this new hub that we're going to is more throwback. And again, I've not played very much Monster Hunter, so I don't know if that's a thing that actually happens. But to me, when you're always throwing those nods into like older games, like, hey, you guys played this, and you're gonna do it again, it's one of those, like, it's cool, and it's also just very nice for some of the new people like me who are like, I don't know what the hell this is. oh, I'm going to do a little research. Oh, that was in Monster Hunter, insert here. That's pretty cool. I dig it. I think that is a fun thing for people to do, for Capcom to go, hey, we know, here's your little nod, and let's keep on hunting some monsters. The PC version also was announced, and it's coming for Monster Hunter Rise is coming in January 2022, which this leads me into my next little thing about Capcom. Capcom intends to make PC its main platform. This is coming from gamesindustry.biz, which I think is also pulling from Bloomberg, because none of us can afford Bloomberg. According to Bloomberg, a reporter Takahashi, going to skip that last name, English recap of a Japanese language Nikkei report, Capcom president and COO. Why didn't I have Rose tell me how to pronounce all this stuff?
Okay, so the reporter is Takashi Mochizuki.
Thank you.
And the COO is Haruhiro Tsujimoto.
Tsujimoto. There we go. Thank you very much. That's why I keep her around. She talks better than I do. Told the outlet at the Tokyo Game Show that it wanted to actually eventually become its PC to eventually become its primary platform. Also, the publisher wants to have sales from PC games equal to that of home consoles within 2 years. I'm sorry. What?
Weird.
Isn't it?
Weird story, weird place to say this, Capcom. Again, this is why, because I knew we were going to talk about this, why I was bringing up about how important mobile gaming is to Japan, how important like the Switch is to Japan.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Capcom, a Japanese company, was like, hey, we're going to make PC gaming our number one console or platform, while we're trying to make PC gaming equal to those of home console, which I think this is really odd. And I don't know about you, Finn, but every time I think of Capcom, I think of PlayStation.
I think Nintendo, because
if I go back to Mega Man, I'm thinking, Mega Man and all that stuff. I think of them.
The big thing they're talking about this week is Monster Hunter.
Yeah, which is coming to PC. And Monster Hunter is Nintendo. When I think, I guess each individual game is something different, because when I think of Capcom Resident Evil, I go PlayStation.
I feel like Monster Hunter started on PlayStation.
It did. Yeah, it started on the PSP. Or maybe it was the PlayStation 2. It did, yeah. Monster Hunter started on the PlayStation. Yeah, it
started on the PSP.
Yeah.
I think.
Actually, I think I have that game.
And then moved over to the 3DS handheld stuff there.
Yeah.
I think.
And then yes. And that's where it kind of like, it started there. There's a PlayStation 2 game. I do remember that. There's a Vita or a PSP game. And then it moved over to DS. And there was the Wii U version of a Monster Hunter game, if I remember correctly. And then it kind of, I think I have that game too. There's a Wii U version of a game, and it kind of just became Nintendo, because that's where it kind of, you had the Monster Hunter fans, and then there was that new, every time there's like this weird new introduction of a game, people remember it there, and that was Nintendo until World came, and then World was just like, it's everywhere. And then now we have Rise back on Nintendo. But like, when I think of, I see who's in chat, like Mega Man, I think of Nintendo. I think because Capcom go ahead.
I'm going to go out on a limb here.
All right.
Because this is an English recap of a Japanese language Nikkei report. And not to doubt whoever did the English translation, but I feel like there was a mistranslation here. I think what Capcom is trying to say is that they intend to make PC a main platform, or like a mainstay platform, or something with that regard. Making PC its primary platform seems bizarre.
Yeah, because it's having the PC there is fine. I'm completely down with it. I think that's what needs to happen, because you just more people playing your games, more people. It's a good thing. That long and short. But to go, hey, we're gonna make PC the main platform. That's where you're gonna get this. This is where you're gonna do that. It seems like this weird, not going to happen, but almost. You know what? Console gaming, that's just in the past now, and we've gone leaps and bounds into console gaming when you look at the Xbox and the PlayStation. So I'm with you. I think this is just a weird mistranslation.
Guys, I think I found it. I found it. Capcom wants PC gaming to be 50%, and then the other 50% is consoles.
Even that seems too high.
Look.
What do they class as a PC?
Rock, Paper, Shotgun is saying They aim for it to represent half of its game sales along with console sales by 2023.
Right, okay, let's think about this. Right. Street Fighter does really bad on PC. Monster Hunter is mostly on console and Switch and Nintendo.
But a lot of people, the World really pushed it to be a PC game.
Did it?
Yes.
Right, but what about, the Rise hasn't released yet.
Rise hasn't released yet. I guarantee you Rise coming out on PC, shit, I'm considering picking it back up and playing it on PC. As much as I love it on the Switch, and it made a lot of sense on the go, especially when I was learning it with Keith. I was able to be in Oklahoma and I was playing it on my Switch. That was great. But you know what else is coming out, Finn? In Q1 2022? It's called a Stream Deck. Playing Monster Hunter Rise on my Stream Deck. Console gaming, handheld gaming on a PC is now that with the Stream Deck.
That would be a big endorsement of the Stream Deck if that's what they meant. Right.
Like you were talking about handheld gaming in Japan. I don't know. Someone correct me. I don't know if the Stream Deck is yet to be shipped to Japan just yet. I don't even know if they have Steam in Japan, to be absolutely honest with you. But if that's where they're going, if that's the idea of the only thing that can take on the Nintendo Switch is the Stream Deck, and you're telling me I can play Monster Hunter Rise at a higher fidelity, and then everything else on sale on stream right now at 99 cents? Shit. That is a game changer.
I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm going to be very interested to read Capcom's next quarterly report just to see what they're...
I just want to know the statistical numbers of what is console and what is PC to them. Like, is PC like at 20% or something? Like, I highly doubt that. Like, what are their game sales percentage-wise on the two?
Keep it locked to the podcast because we're going to come back to this.
We're going to come back. We got a lot of stuff. Yeah, let's keep on going. Talk to me about day 2.
I will not rest until I know what Capcom meant. But anyway, going to very quickly breeze over this. 505 Games had a showcase here where they talked about Ayuden Chronicles. I thought it important to bring up this new trailer because I know Keith is very excited for this game.
Yes.
I believe Ayuden Chronicles is the spiritual successor to Suikoden. So obviously it's going to be... Is that how you pronounce that? Suikoden?
Suikoden.
Suikoden. It's not pronounced Suikoden.
It's Suikoden.
It's sweet.
You're pulling my leg.
I am not pulling your leg.
It is a Japanese game. It's Suikoden.
You don't make a swee sound in Japanese.
Look in chat. Suikoden.
That S-U-I is a sweet.
Right? Sweet.
Also, guys, real fast, Monster Hunter World is the top-selling Capcom game.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah.
That's including Street Fighter 2. And it's it's mostly on PC.
Oh, they have been milking Street Fighter 5 for freaking 7 years now, I think. It's 2. Well, yeah, I know you said 2, but I'm just thinking about Street Fighter 5 and how much crap they've pulled off. Yeah, Suikoden.
Pronouns. Suikoden.
Hold on.
Did you are we really stop?
Sorry, it's Suikoden. Yeah, you're right.
It's like, wait, what the hell are you doing?
Want to do some live fact checking there.
All right, that's fine. That's cool. Right. We have a fact checker. I'm going to do live fact checking.
Right,
Rose,
but she was on the other side of the beat. I don't trust her facts. I make my own. It's Suikoden. No, I'm just kidding. It's Suikoden. So yeah, that new trailer came out for that game. That's literally all I had to say. Cool. I was just going to move on from that and you guys just trip me up. Okay.
All right, Square Enix happened. Square Enix stuff. They had their thing. Dungeon Encounters. Do you want to talk about that? Because I think you did the notes on that one. I'll take on Stranger Paradise.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I picked up. Dungeon Encounters is a new tactical RPG by Square Enix, which sees players traverse around a tiled labyrinth, aiming to touch every square in each map to get up to the next floors and progress through the levels. And they have to obviously battle monsters each way, random encounters. It's very traditional RPG when you're in the battles, based on that. It's releasing in...
Go ahead. I'll finish.
It's releasing 14th of October on PS4, Steam and Nintendo Switch. I saw the trailer. I thought it was cool. Those who have had hands-on says the mechanics are simple yet very deep once you get into it, and very enjoyable. This looks like a game that's weird and simple enough to be up my alley. In terms of
kids, do you not want to have a board? Like, you're literally just walking around touching numbers like the count, and then all of a sudden you have this weird battle system?
There are no environments to speak of.
There are no environments to this bad boy. I watched your trailer because I saw the question, like, how do we feel about this trailer? Then I watched the 14 minutes of the gameplay, and I'm like, dude, that 14 minutes of gameplay, there was like, at the time when I watched it was like 160 upvotes on YouTube and 300 and something downvotes. And I'm like, what is happening? Granted, it's a Japanese trailer. I'm not going to judge it off of that one. I'd like to see it has my peak just enough because there's nothing in the sense of like actual animations. It's just there. I
feel like because of that, John, it is a game that is very valuable to me right now because it does not demand your attention. It in fact, is
it doesn't demand anything
in any way that could be possible, which is perfect for me to play on my new tablet and watch a podcast.
And the Nintendo Switch.
Maybe this very podcast, maybe Play Date that's coming out in a few days' time, right? I listen to that, I have this open, I go through the titles, bim, bam, boom, kill a couple of monsters. I'm having a good time.
Go to YouTube and search for Now to Play Games for Playdate coming out on Monday. Just letting everyone know. It looks weird. I would be down because I want to know the story behind it and how they're... Actually, I want to know how they're going to deliver the story. That's where I'm at on that one. Let's talk about Stranger of Paradise real fast because that happened. And I downloaded the demo this morning as of this recording so I could talk about it. And guess what, guys? It no longer looks like a PlayStation 3 game. Guess what it looks like? It's a early PlayStation 4 game.
It's better.
It looks better. It feels better. I was able to do it in like performance mode, so I think I locked it at 60 at 1080 or maybe 60 at fake 4K. Look, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you guys. First off, let's talk about the trailer fast. Releasing March 18th of both all PlayStations 4 and 5, all Xbox Series and on PC via the Epic Store. Apparently, those who purchase the PlayStation 4 version to play on PS5 will be treated to free visual and gameplay enhancements, whatever the hell that means. By the same token, Xbox players can take advantage of smart delivery to automatically enjoy the optimal version of the game. The trailer is obviously more action heavy than the first one, shows off Jack, Ash, Jed, and newcomer Neon. These are the Warriors of Light. Her name is Neon. Didn't pass me. As they work
on gameplay enhancements.
Yeah.
What could that possibly mean?
Exactly. I was reading like, what does that mean?
Does that mean skins, costumes, graphical upgrades?
Like what is this? Free visual and gameplay enhancements. Oh, you bought the PlayStation 4 version. Here's the PlayStation 5. You get an extra dot on the HUD. I don't know what that actually means. Why you wouldn't just buy the PlayStation 5 version if you're on PlayStation 5? Beyond me. I think this is also getting, if you can only play it on PlayStation 4, you will be able to free upgrade to PlayStation 5.
Excellent.
So that's cool. Dig that one. I played the demo. I don't know what the hell this game is supposed to be for or who this is for. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. It is the exact same demo, unless I missed something. The exact same demo from earlier during E3. It's fine. Look, I'm going to be honest. If they're going for like a Ninja Gaiden, Neo kind of concept, I mean, it's from Team Ninja. Mm-hmm. And if they're going for that one, that's fine. I can see where the fighting Dark Souls-esque style concept is there. What and it's me, and it's personally me, and I'll say that what I can't get around is the amount of times I hit pause to go into my screen to change my dude's what he's wearing. Like
for stat bonuses, or were you just
there were stat bonuses. Like literally, like it was like, all right, now you have the light shirt. I had 3 people I had to take care of. Now you've got the dark shirt. One dude was running around naked. I was like, dude, I just want to get you some clothes. I don't know why no clothes are falling for you, so I can put you in clothes. But I'm sorry, my friend. And it was just like, all right, here's something new. Pause. All right, what do you got? Stat bonus. Okay. 2 minutes of action. Pause. Okay. Stat bonus. All right, cool. Pause. And I was just like, all right. If it's supposed to throw me, because this is supposed to be a prequel to Final Fantasy, the first one, if this is what it's supposed to be doing, it is not, personally for me, not doing a good enough job for me to stay in the action and stay with the story, because it is still, in my opinion, kind of voice acted over the top. Like, we must kill Chaos. Chaos is rising.
That
hurt. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
That was the big thing I was going to ask you about, because I feel like for the large part of the action, we sort of know what to expect based on the studio's track record.
Mm-hmm.
But for this to be covering the first game in the Final Fantasy series, for the large part, I was going to ask about the story, because that I feel like that's the major selling point of this game. I feel like that would be, for a guy who doesn't like Souls games and wasn't really into Nioh, like, could be something that tries to bring me in, but it doesn't seem like that's a recommended thing.
I want to know, and I want to find the person who likes Final Fantasy and like Souls style games, and see if this works for them, or is this like, and honestly, I'm gonna be wrong. If it's a great love letter to the beginning of Final Fantasy and how it works, that's great. I love that. I just don't know how you balance full story when, like, I don't really know what's going on, because you get to Chaos in the demo. Sorry, spoilers. And there's like, no, I'm not Chaos. I'm so and so. No, I am so and so. I'm like, who are you? And then it just goes back to this weird, like, we got to kill Chaos. And I'm like, okay, why? Right. And then, you want me to pause real fast, and then I got to change my freaking job, which I was a cashier, and now you want me making burritos, and I'm like, I don't know what this means, but you wanted to put me in a different shirt to make the burrito, because the burrito will be better if I make it with this shirt on instead of just a normal shirt, and I just don't understand.
Yeah, for a guy who is just not knowledgeable about Final Fantasy in any respect, Final Fantasy 1 is like one of the few where I know key plot points. So I know like Chaos, I know Garland, I know all these other things, but it sounds like they're trying to emulate a lot of what the first Final Fantasy did, which is a turn-based, run-around, top-down, traditional JRPG. But this is also trying to be action-y Nioh style as well, and it feels like there's a clash there. Based on what you said.
It doesn't mesh together like I would hope it would.
Mm-hmm. Shall we move on?
Forspoken, talk to me about it.
Yes,
I said it right this time.
Nice. Yeah, to very quickly talk about Forspoken. They released a new trailer. They were talking a little bit about it, basically going over the story. They were saying about how Athia, which is the world you travel to, is a vast open world that Frey, main character, will traverse via what Terada, I think, is the director of this game, called Magic Parkour. I really feel like it captures what makes our style of development at Luminous Productions so special.
Sorry.
Why'd laugh? Did I mispronounce the name again?
No. You did right. All I can think of is, I do Magic Parkour. And it's just, what?
Yeah, Magic Parkour. Apparently the controls are quite simple, and the magic of parkour skills can be used each with one button, which is quite enticing, because some of the parkour stuff she does in the trailer looks quite complicated.
It looks really awesome, actually. Like, I agree with you on that one. Again, I just hope they clean up their facial expressions and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the part that got me.
So just some more story guff. Frey isn't alone, however, she'll be joined by Cuff. I just realised that's a pun, because it's a sentient talking golden bracelet that's somehow wrapped around her right arm between the trip from New York to Athia. The developer said that they cannot yet elaborate on the exact role that Cuff will play, only that it's vital to the story and will help player get to the next targets. They did say, however, that there will be plenty of banter between the two. They both say whatever they think, Mitsuno said. This means that they're fighting all the time. Which sounds not enjoyable, to be honest. Like, could you imagine if Ratchet and Clank were constantly arguing, and how annoying that would be throughout that game?
That would be really, really annoying.
Yeah.
The banter is fine. I love banter. It kind of establishes the connection between the two characters, but it's got to be a damn near perfect writing and damn near perfect acting for it to actually make an impact when it comes to just enjoyment and like connecting with those two characters. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm with you. I didn't register. Its name was Cuff, and I kind of hate myself a little bit.
I wrote it down earlier, and I was like, that's a weird name.
I love how in the dark you two are about Square Enix names.
Right. Okay.
I'm not a Square fan.
Let's also keep in mind that Sora, Riku, and Kairi are the same names as Ventus, Aqua, and Terra. They all mean earth, wind, and water. All
I
of
thought you
them.
were going to say fire.
No,
There's-
not fire. I'm sure somebody's fire in those.
100
in the
years
Kingdom
ago,
Hearts
the
games.
Fire Nation
Do
attacked.
you remember?
That's
But
actually
yeah.
where I was going to go. It's like,
John,
Jim
do you
said,
think that Forspoken's going
Not
to
a
be the next
chance
big
in-
Square Enix franchise? No?
no, ooh. I don't know. Gary Whitta kind of I liked Force Rogue One. I liked Rogue One. Rogue One. I thought it was great. Did I turn my brain off and enjoy it? You're damn right I did. Will I turn my brain off and enjoy this one? Possibly. I don't know if this is like the next big thing, especially when you're next.
Let me make it simpler. Is there a Forspoken 2?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I will say yes, there will be a Forspoken 2 unless they literally wrote it as just one and done. If they leave it open, I say we get a Forspoken 2. I think if they do everything right in the sense of marketing, they show us everything and gets enough fire going, I think it will do well enough to, all right, now we learned, we know how video games work. We learned, we built everything. Now we expand, now we make it better because we've learned from version 1, which is when the game's done, to version 2. That bridge will make a better game, hopefully. So,
yeah. And then last publisher to date that has shown stuff at TGS is Sega Atlas. They announced their new RPG called Sin Chronicle. One of the biggest things to know about this game is that the audience is very mad about it because in the build-up to the announcement of this game, they just called it a new RPG. It is, in fact, a new mobile RPG.
That pissed me off too, actually.
Yeah. The hook of this game is that it supposedly focuses on player decisions that can only ever be made once. All selections are saved to the server, so actions can't be undone. Each roughly 10-hour chapter would end with one ultimate choice.
Who dies today?
So yeah, they're very gimmicky. I feel like I've heard this gimmick a million times before and it never really works out, but who knows. That's scheduled to launch on December 15th on iOS and Android in Japan. No word on a Western launch yet, so we'll see how that one goes.
All right, with this one real fast before we move on. It's weird, cool. I'm with everyone. Like as I was watching, I was like, all right, it is in Japanese, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. Oh, it's a mobile game. That sucks. Will Sonic make an appearance? That's all I need to know. It's Sega.
Sega.
All of a sudden, you just see Sonic's chili dogs or something like that in this game. That'd be great. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, Sonic costumes for sure. It's a mobile game. You can bet on it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. Let's talk rumors because sometimes they get a little spicy. Sometimes they feel good. We won't pull out the spicy rumor index mainly because I didn't think there could be one because they're rumors, but they're like to the point where they're almost like, all right, this is actually happening -1. You, Finn, and I just are going to talk about this one. But let's start with GTA Remastered Trilogy. It's pretty much going to happen. We've gotten to a point where they've escalated. Like we've heard about them for a while. Before we were Now to Play Games, and we took our little break, they started building back up. Nibble on Twitter tweeted that the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, the definitive edition, has been rated by the Game Rating and Administration Committee, or GRAC, that's how I'm going to call it, which is the South Korean governmental group responsible for reviewing and rating games. So this thing has been rated in South Korea, and so that's pretty much our first, like, oh shit, this thing is actually real. When is it going to happen? Coming from Kotaku, in August, Kotaku reported that Rockstar Games was developing a remastered GTA collection featuring 3 PS2-era titles, GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. This confirmed long-standing fan rumors surrounding the older Grand Theft Auto games. This confirmed that. Kotaku learned the collection would be released later this year on PS5, 4, Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, with PC and mobile ports to follow in 2022. The new collection is being developed by Rockstar Dundee, a Scottish studio and one of the newest to join Rockstar Games' vast global network of devs. All right, Finn, with the rating system and Nibble coming out and telling us this, is this pretty much like, does this confirm this game is coming out soon-ish? What do you think? When do you think we're actually going to get this game?
Yes, very soon. Once you see a game that's been rated, it means it's very close to release. It's no longer a rumor at that point. It's like, brace yourselves. We saw it quite recently, actually, with Castlevania Advance Collection.
Yes.
The rating's coming out for that before the Direct, and that released later that day. So, could be announced any time in the next coming weeks. I would say, yeah, probably next month.
next month
at the latest. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And follow-up, like we talked about this. What does the definitive edition mean? Like, how do we define, like, what does that actually mean? Like, what is the remake concept is? Like, are we getting full fresh paint, making it run at 4K at 60? What do you think we're getting out of this trilogy?
Not to de-hype anyone, but I think this will be as bare bones as possible. Certainly less work on this will be done than was done on the fan remake that
has
got
been shut
down twice now.
Yes.
In the past few weeks. I just feel like they know they can slap this on anything and not have to work too hard on it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get loads of quality and life improvements and full 4K stuff, but honestly, like, you can buy PS4 versions of San Andreas and Vice City right now, and I'm guessing there'll be some nifty, like, next-gen PS5-y stuff in there, but not much more than that.
And I think we did talk about that. Like, are you planning on? Do you want to pick this up? Are you planning on picking this up on your Switch, or are you doing it on the PS5? What you doing?
PS5, probably so I can platinum them. I hope there's 3 distinct platinums for this.
True, that's a good point.
Love San Andreas, love Vice City. Never played GTA 3. That was before my time. So maybe an opportunity to delve back into that one. But I think Vice City and San Andreas are the most beloved ones, and I can't wait to dive into those again.
Little side note for me, because when I was doing the research on this one, I didn't know Rockstar Dundee was a thing. I had no idea. I was like, wait, Dundee? Why? Mm-hmm. So, of course, me being stupid, I was like, is Australia? I was like, well, no, it's not. I think it's cool that it's in Scotland and that Dundee is actually a Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic. I was like, that's actually really cool. Good on you, Rockstar, keeping it like that.
When you think of Rockstar, it's actually a conglomeration of about 10 maybe more British, mostly studios,
So it was pretty cool. What I was looking through all the stuff and interesting points that I found is that Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy was a collection in 2006 that was released on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, PC, and eventually later on down the line, the PlayStation 3. So this isn't the first time we've actually gotten a Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy collection, which I just find that absolutely fascinating. GTA 3's 20th anniversary is October 22nd, and Rockstar teased in their newsletter back in May, in honor of the upcoming 20th anniversary of the genre-defining Grand Theft Auto 3, we'll have even more fun surprises to share, including some specifically for GTA online players. So we're pretty damn close. We're 20 days away from that. We'll keep you posted on that one. Fans were concerned about the collection getting pushed back into 2022 after GTA 5, which I'm just now saying is 55 years old because it's just been around forever, was pushed back. But rumors so far is saying November,
right,
for this collection. So I think we need to get that out before GTA 6 or the remastered of GTA 5, because those are coming out in January or February 2022. November release of this feels right. Get kind of wet your palate, and then you can jump back into GTA 5 when it comes out for the PlayStation 5.
For sure.
Cool. Hey, kids, you remember Konami? They're back.
Apparently.
Who knew?
Apparently.
So, from Video Games Chronicle. All right. They got the scoop, and apparently Konami's premium game output has slowed down significantly in recent years. The last new Metal Gear game was 2018's critically panned Metal Gear Survive, while the last mainline Castlevania release was 2014's Lord of Shadow 2. In the past decade, the company has arguably grown a bigger reputation for its pachinko gambling machines rather than its premium PC and console releases. I got pachinko right. I screwed up on gaming. Pachinko machines. However, and I didn't know this one, following a restructure of the company's game development divisions earlier this year, Konami is now focused on bringing back its biggest brands to premium game spaces, VGC was told. The first of these titles will be a new Castlevania game, which sources describe as a reimagining of the series currently in development internally at Konami in Japan with support from local external studios. There has been much speculation that Demon's Souls studio Bluepoint, hey, there's a callback, would be working on a remake of Metal Gear Solid. However, VGC was told the series is actually being worked on by an external studio, Virtuous. Established in 2014, Virtuous is one of the largest game developers in the world, and it focuses on...
Not 2014.
Oh, sorry, established in 2004. Thank you. One of the largest gaming developers in the world, and it focuses on supporting the development of major AAA games or bringing existing games to new platforms. Recently, it worked on the Switch ports of Dark Souls Remastered, The Outer Worlds, and the BioShock Collection, as well as contributing art and content to blockbusters such as Battlefield 1, Uncharted 4, and Horizon Zero Dawn. This is insane. Ladies and gentlemen, Konami is back. Finn, did you play any of the Castlevania games?
No. Castlevania was never my bag.
Never your bag? Okay.
Yeah, probably because the good ones were way before my time.
Yes.
Things like Symphony of the Night.
All of it 2D side scrolling.
Which I love a good 2D side scroller, and if there was a new Castlevania in that vein, similar to Metroid Dread, it might be great for people like me to get in on the series.
Jump back in. Yeah, because no one wants to talk about Castlevania 64. I played that when I was a kid because I had a Nintendo 64. I didn't know better. I'm sorry, guys. But I'm very interested in this. I really have enjoyed the Castlevania games. I think it's right. I think it's a good time too with the cultural zeitgeist of Castlevania doing so well on Netflix that now's the right time. My biggest thing is I'm trying to figure out, like, should it stay 2D as everyone knows it, or do we allow it to go 3D and bring it into the modern world, and how would that actually work? I don't have an answer to that one, to be absolutely honest with you. I lean more toward 2D. It's safe. Get your feet wet. Let's get people knowing the Konami name, the Castlevania name, and then slowly build it out from there.
If you were really going for it, if Konami was really giving it the old college try, you would go for 3D purely for that E3 moment, Game Awards moment, where you do the shot panning and it reveals Simon Belmont in 3D AAA goodness, right?
I mean, if we want to swing for the fences,
is back. Here it is. I mean, get ready.
If you give it to Jeff Keighley, and that's fine.
But the studio, like, no knock to them, but Virtuos, they don't seem like that. It doesn't seem like they've developed an original game before. So obviously, the idea is you're going to want to focus on a small project, then maybe a remaster, something like that. Doesn't sound like this is a remaster or a remake, so it's going to have to be small scale, maybe a side story, nothing that's already been covered by better games, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that one works. So a lot of this Konami stuff is like they're dipping their toes back into gaming in the weirdest way, and it doesn't instill me with a whole lot of faith, other than the IPs themselves making me excited.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Like the next IP that apparently is also coming back is Silent Hill, and it is coming back in multiple different styles of games being developed. And one rumored, and I'm putting this under the rumored, has been given to a prominent Japanese developer earlier this year. What could that mean? Let's go to Gumatsu. Did I say that one right?
Yes.
Gumatsu. Gumatsu has heard that a new Silent Hill is in development at a prominent Japanese developer. That studio, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers all alike, is Kojima Productions, according to a publishing source that wishes to remain anonymous, who also said that the game is funded by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Are we shocked?
Yes, and I don't believe this is true. I don't believe for a second this is true. We've had this report. We've had the report of a principal in agreement with Kojima Productions and Xbox. I don't believe that they could be working on both of these at the same time. I don't think they have the resources for it. So if I'm to opt with one of those two rumors, which I'm still hesitant on the Xbox one, I would favor that one, the rumor that Kojima is working with Xbox. Not that they won't work with PlayStation and Studio, might not work on Silent Hill in the future, but I don't know about this one.
Like, all this stuff coming at us right now is absolutely insane. Just doing the research on this one, and I told Finn, I'm like, man, this is a lot, and like we're gonna skim it real fast because I know we're probably going long. I don't even know how long we've been going so far. I think this would be cool. I agree, PT would be great, but I'm with you, Finn. I think we lean a little more toward Xbox and their handshake agreement than hey, you know what? SIE is actually funding this Silent Hill game that Kojima's getting. I think that's just way too pie in the sky. I'm sorry.
Also,
I do. I want it, but no.
Yeah. Rewind back to the games, or not Gamescom, Summer Games Fest kickoff event where Jeff Keighley interviewed Kojima and he was talking about like the themes of his next game.
Yeah.
I can't remember jack shit about what the man said. It was all nonsense, but it doesn't sound like a Silent Hill game for sure.
No, it does not. But a Silent Hill game that probably is actually happening, because I did say multiple Silent Hill games. Bloober team is probably getting one of those Silent Hill games because Bloober and Konami actually announced a partnership in June. I think Finn and I just kind of skimmed over that one because we were still doing podcasts before the break. I'm down with it. I like Bloober. I know they just teased a new Layers of Fear in the Unreal Engine 5, and I freaking love Layers of Fear. I think Bloober can do a good Silent Hill. That's kind of how it was. That's kind of how it is with Layers of Fear. And if you look at the semi-hit, semi-miss of the Medium, I think that was Bloober if I remember correctly. I think I think you can see the bones are there. And so if they just get the Silent Hill franchise, let them go nuts, I think we'll be I think we'll be okay. I think Bloober having it is actually really, really cool. What I did find very interesting about these articles and what was going on as I was digging is apparently Supermassive pitched a Silent Hill game that wasn't greenlit. And Supermassive is the developer behind the oh crap, blanked out.
Yeah, we were talking about Supermassive on Playdate for the upcoming October games. I can't remember what they made. Hold on, let me see if I can.
Oh my god, what is it called? Girls and I, you played it. We played it with Dr. Swoosh over on Couch Capades now.
Little Hope.
Little Hope. Yeah, the Little Hope, the anthology games.
Yeah, Dark Pictures anthology.
Dark Pictures, yeah.
Dark Pictures.
Yeah, Supermassive did that one, and Until Dawn. There it is. God. Yeah, they got there. We got there, guys. Don't worry about it. Uncle Finn and Uncle John have not been drinking, I promise. Supermassive pitched a game to Konami, and they were like, no. And what I think is cool is that we're starting to see Konami's really like, all right, we need to get back into the gaming space. We need to kind of get people, license out our IPs, let other people touch our stuff, and do the loving thing to get our name back in there with these massive IPs that they have. With that, what I found, the main thing I want to talk about, because I want to say what you're going to say, Finn, is Konami has invited indie developers to make games based on some of their classic series. This is from IGN Japan. Konami has announced an indie game contest that actively asks small developers to make games based on some of its classic series, including Gradius, Gunbear Goemon, and more. Konami's action and shooting game contest asks indie creators to plan and develop new action games and shooters based on past Konami titles. The rules allow the creators to make remakes or sequels. They can pick out a single character or a mechanic from a past title, or even change or combine genres that may not have been in the originals. Through the collaboration of indie creators and Konami, these new works could potentially become commercial products. I'm not going to go. I've got the full list of games, but I'm just going to condense it down to the series. You've got Gradius, Star Soldier, Twin Bee, Gunbear Goemon, Kung Fu series. I'm not even going to try the first part. Nightmare series, and then you got other action games like Love Warrior Nicole, which just sounds awesome. Dream Penguin story. And one of my favorite games, Parodius. It's like Gradius, only Parodius is just an acid trip, and it's absolutely fun. Finn, how do you feel about Konami? Like, we need the help, I guess. What like the indie game concept? Like, this is an actual contest for indie developers to jump in and be like, hey, we'll take Gradius, we'll make it this. Here it goes, and there's now a chance for it to develop into a full functioning game by Konami.
I feel two things. First of all, I feel like because this is the only one of these that is something in this Konami story that's from an official source, it's a tweet, it's an actual competition that's going on, it sort of lends some sort of credence to the rest of the rumor that Konami are generally trying to re-enter the gaming space, play the field, and when it comes to their IP, hand it out to different developers, see if they can almost touch the heights that they were at one time touching. So I don't know if I believe, like, the Kojima Productions one and the Castlevania ones. I'm all like, once I start looking into the individual rumors, I'm like, do I believe that? I don't know. Even the Bloomer Team one, I'm like, I can believe that a little more, but nah. But I feel like this more than anything signifies that, yes, Konami at least want to do something with their IPs instead of sitting on them. Maybe because they believe that having strong IPs that resonate with people in the gaming space will allow them to do other things in the video TV space and movie space, or just like keep making more money for the pachinko space, whatever. So it's sort of lends sort of credence to those rumors in that regard. I still don't know which of them I believe, which I don't. But
all the rumor.
In terms of this actual single competition, I think it's a very, very cool idea. I was tweeting out a few days ago about Sumo Digital and how they did a remaster of a little-known retro platformer called Zool, and it was entirely comprised by students doing this remaster, which is amazing, and I talked a lot about that, but I think this is sort of in a similar vein, where Konami just like saying, hey, we're not going to do anything with all these series you listed anyway, like, why not hand them out to an indie dev? Why not give them that IP that either they love, or they know that there's a small fan base out there who really loves and wants to see more of, and let them really try their heart out. And maybe, you know, the hope is that one of these IPs will be reinvigorated and will become like an IP that people will recognize and that will be excited for whatever next game is happening. But it's a really good opportunity for indie studios to, you know, make their name, because it's really hard to get noticed, and one of the best ways to get noticed is by working on known IP. And while I didn't recognize anything on that list, you mentioned Parodius as one of your favorite games. So certainly you'd be up for anything that one of these indie studios might do.
I mean, great. I freaking love Gradius. Twinbee, if I'm thinking of the right game, I think I am. That would be a lot of fun. And then, like I said, Parodius is a side-scrolling shmup, and kind of like Gradius, but Parodius is like, there's literally like cats on acid. Yeah, and it is just a fun little trip, and I would be down to play that on the Switch or whatever if that comes to fruition. Real fast, it doesn't even have to be indie game. Like it feels like if we just take the Konami rumors at value, but not like really say like, oh, Kojima's doing all this thing, but it just feels like Konami is really trying to get their IPs into the hands of other people to make games and just kind of get their goodwill back and going. Is there a specific game from Konami? What specific game from Konami would you give to what specific developer?
It's Metal Gear.
One? Okay.
It's still on my heart. It's still Blue Point.
Still Blue Point?
Again, bringing it full circle to what we were talking about last time, I still think it would be original content. You'll be able to class it as that if you're doing a reimagining of Metal Gear Solid that plays like Metal Gear Solid 5. Something to that degree would be fantastic for me. That's like, again, I'm not a big Castlevania person, I'm not a big Silent Hill person, but I still want to see those come back for the big fan bases I know they have. But for me, it starts and ends with Metal Gear. I need you said that, quoting that article, that the last Metal Gear game was 2018 Metal Gear Survive. My heart broke and my face went into like a motion.
Yeah, it's just like, oh god, that was a game.
I just need that sentence to not be accurate anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? So Metal Gear, Blue Point, if anything.
Castlevania, Yacht Club. That's where I'm at.
Oh, buddy, that's spicy.
Castlevania and Yacht Club. I think if you give Yacht Club Castlevania, I think you have a freaking hit on your damn hands. Konami, I expect my check in the mail. Hey, guys, you know what? Next week, October the 9th, guess what? Oh, I'm sorry, October the 8th. My bad. We're getting a new Switch. We're getting the Switch SOLED coming out. But unfortunately, it's not a 4K Switch. But was it supposed to be? We don't know. But you know what? Over in Bloomberg, apparently, employees at 11 game companies said that their teams were in possession of a 4K Switch development kit. The companies span the globe, ranging from large publishers to small studios, and include at least one that has never made a game console before, Zynga. I'll get to them in just a moment. According to employees who asked not to be identified because they weren't authorized to discuss their projects publicly. Now, I'm going to jump to the end of what I've written down. Zynga actually came out and said they don't have that. And this is Bloomberg we're talking about. Like, they don't have a 4K development kit for the Switch or anything like that. So before we get sued for libel or anything like that, I'm going to cut that off at the knee. Right now, rumors of the 4K Switch is releasing in late 2022. Nintendo shares have lost at least 20% compared to Microsoft and Sony, whose have been soaring thanks to the PS5 and the Xbox Series, even though no one can get those. The question I have for Finn, anyone in chat, is could Nintendo actually be like alienating the devs who are working on upgraded software? There was rumors that the SOLED was rumored to have a new NVIDIA chip that enabled 4K when it was dock. That didn't happen. And we had to factor in everything that's going on with COVID. Is that why everything kind of changed the way it became, the way it is? What's going on with that? Let's see. In a recent interview with Bloomberg, Toshiba Court singled out demand for game consoles makers as an area where it's struggling to catch up. One specific class of component, ABF's substrates, is necessary for the 4K product, for 4K Nintendo product, but supplies of those parts are now fully booked until 2025, said executives at component suppliers to Nintendo who asked not to be identified. One of Nintendo's assemblers said that they are confident they can accomplish Nintendo's goal, but they warned that stock would be thin during the holiday shopping season, especially if the new OLED Switch model turns out to be a hit.
Booked out until 2025?
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about this little piece that is also the little semiconductor chip. I don't think these are the same things, but also a semiconductor chip that runs with cars. We're also in our systems and all this stuff. So we're getting to Tesla. A point. Yeah, we're getting to a point where it's going to be like absolutely crazy to get what we want when it comes to consoles, and if we're going to get a 4K Switch or not. Do you think a 4K Switch is coming, Finn? Like, let's just say 2025. That will be about 10 years for the Switch, give or take, maybe 9 years. Between now and 2025, are we getting a 4K Switch?
I believe there will be something that resembles a Switch that will output in 4K, John.
Okay.
That's all I will say.
The Steam Deck.
Because I've been very what's the word? Assertive about Nintendo rumors in the past, and that's always my folly because it'll bite you in the ass.
Yes.
I believe at one point there were plans for a 4K Switch, whether development kits or whatever were sent out to developers or not. I don't know. But I believe that was always at least in the back of their mind. I don't think it's been the plan for at least a year. Just because of chip shortages and other things. And the fact that they don't need another Switch, which breaks my heart. They don't need the 4K Switch. As much as I do think they're alienating consumers, they're alienating developers by not having a 4K option, I think it's half the reason why people are so excited for the Steam Deck. Yeah. And I wish I had a 4K Switch to buy in next week, you know?
Which is funny, too, because the Steam Deck doesn't even output at 4K. That it's still 720.
Yeah.
And we won't get into that one. And just to let everyone know, too, Nintendo actually responded to Bloomberg's report, and it's saying a news report on September 30th, 2021 falsely claims that Nintendo is supplying tools to drive game development for a Nintendo Switch with 4K support. To ensure correct understanding among our investors and customers, we want to clarify that this report is not true. We also want to restate that, as we announced in July, we have no plans for any new model other than the Nintendo Switch OLED model, which will launch on October 8th, 2022. Or 2021, I'm sorry, 2021. Remember when Nintendo lied when we did the Nintendo Direct, saying that they're going to talk about all the games that are coming out in the fall and winter of 2021 3 weeks ago? Remember when Nintendo said, hey, we're not doing a new model, and then 2 weeks later, the Nintendo Switch Lite was announced? Hey, remember when we said we're not doing a new model, and then 2 months later, the Nintendo Switch OLED was announced?
John, that's so spiteful. And the reason I believe this is different is they're okay lying to us. the dorks on the internet reacting to this stuff. They are not lying to their investors.
Yeah, but remember, they did the same thing. I distinctly remember them talking about the same thing, saying the same exact thing to their investors before the OLED Switch came out. This is not the first time they've commented against Bloomberg.
Right, but Bloomberg had a lot of stuff. Bloomberg was saying the Switch OLED was a 4K Switch at one point.
True, that's true.
So honestly, there were false claims to refute them.
Honestly, I don't think we're getting a 4K Switch. I don't think Nintendo sees the value in it around it, even though 4K has become not standard, but at least easier to get when it comes to entertainment, because of video games, movies, and all that stuff. That is all in 4K. But your normal everyday TV stations, if you're not streaming, is still 1080. At 24 frames a second. That is what you run at. I'm looking at this and I'm just like, it's funny to me, especially with the quote from Miyamoto, when it is a delayed game is eventually good, but a rush game is bad forever.
Yeah.
And I wonder what were they so far along in development? Let's assume 4K was going to happen next week. Let's go on down that rabbit hole real fast before we call it a podcast. And they were like, "Oh crap! Thank you, COVID. We can't do this. Do we just put it out as is and we keep on going with life and people will buy it?" Which yes, people will actually still buy it. Looking at the differences already, because some are out in the wild, it's fantastic. But is this one of those? Were they too far along? Money constraints saying, hey, we can't take it back or we can't really do it, so we might as well just give it out there, and then if things calm back down, if we're able to get the chip, we'll just make another a 4K Switch. Because I mean that's not out of the realm when it comes to Nintendo. How many of us have 22 different DSs? The DS line lasted for 15 years and 150,000 DSs came out during that time. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that the end of next year, beginning of 2023, the Switch 4K comes out, the Switch 2 comes out, because there are still legs on this console. We talked about it earlier in the podcast. It's a handheld system that people love, and the markets that people play it in. Nintendo came out recently, and maybe it was a couple months ago, saying more people play it in handheld than they do docked.
Right.
There's no point to kill this console. So maybe this is just, hey, you know what? Let's just get it out there. Let's get people a new Switch. Everyone likes OLED. It's easier. It's a panel that we can get a hold of right now, and let's just go with it. And then when the time comes, which it may be next year, maybe a year after that, we'll give them a higher resolution output when it comes to the docked concept. I don't know. I find it very interesting that all these reports are coming out, and yeah, we can string together whatever we want and be Charlie Day in the back going, oh, it's like this. And at the end of the day, like, we don't have it, and that's fine. I still want to pick up the OLED Switch. I think it looks great, but it's one of those, it's the fun what if, to be absolutely honest with you guys. It's because it's like, I don't want Nintendo to fall behind, but since they've been playing to their own drum since the Wii, it's kind of like, where do we put them? And I think, Finn, you said it right. Like, how do we comment on rumors when it comes to Nintendo? And because for all we know, tomorrow they're going to announce something completely none of us saw coming. And they're like, oh, that's going to be our new console. It connects to your head and jacks into your brain. You're like, how does that even work, Nintendo? Through Wi-Fi. And you're like, you don't even like Wi-Fi because, I mean, you don't even like Bluetooth. So how did you get Wi-Fi to work? So I don't know. I find this one like interesting, that we're still clamoring for it. And I'm one of them. I want a 4K Switch, but I also deep down know that it's not happening anytime soon.
Right. John, you pull up that quote there from the tweet. It says, as we announced in July, we have no plans for any new model other than the Nintendo Switch OLED model, which will launch in October 8th, 2021. I feel like Nintendo could have got ahead of things by adding another subtweet to that tweet saying, as you already know, we have no plans for any new Mario Kart other than the Mario Kart 8, which is available on your Nintendo Switch now. And that's exactly how I see the Switch now. The Switch is Mario Kart 8. There will possibly never be a Mario Kart 9 if Mario Kart 8 continues to sell. How
crazy would that be? Like, let's be honest. Mario Kart 9 doesn't come out until 2025, whenever insert new console comes out. Like, we will go a full year A full generation with the same damn Mario Kart that people pay for. People play all the time. It's still high up there in Nintendo's rankings. But they're like, you know what? Let's get you a new Mario Kart with the Nintendo Switch something or another. Super Nintendo Switch or whatever.
Rockstar could also tweet, as we announced in July, we have no plans for any new GTA 5 other than GTA 5 Definitive Edition, which will launch next year.
Bethesda's going to tweet out going, hey, we have no plans to actually announce Elder Scrolls 6. You enjoy Elder Scrolls 5 way too much. Here you go.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we're talking about the company that has literally given us Mario 3 22 different times. So yeah, I get it. I just, it's very funny that they, like, Nintendo doesn't comment on things, but they comment on Bloomberg. Mm-hmm. That's the part that I'm like, that's interesting.
Mostly because Nintendo rumors are more than anything fueled by desire.
But I want
more than
it.
any other company, I think.
But I need it, Finn.
I know. It's
I
just
need
people
it.
really want something. And
Look,
they,
I am the freaking SpongeBob meme that needs the water, but I got the damn pinky out, but I need the 4K Switch.
Yeah. Imagine how good Pokemon Legends Arceus would have looked on a 4K Switch. That would have been a time to be alive.
I mean, Arceus or even... hell, let's be honest. Could we have just gotten more RAM in the damn thing? Like, let it run a little bit smoother. That's all we were.
Some RAM in it, man.
Just load some RAM from the internet. Just put 16 gigs in that bitch. That would have ran fine. That would have been great.
Oh, bud.
Oh, yeah. Hopes and dreams ruined again. Thank you, Nintendo. We love you, though. I'll still buy your shit. With that, let's call it an episode. I don't know how long we've gone. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been your weekly podcast, Now to Play Games. If you're here live, we're going to do a quick recap, quick post-show. And then after that, you know what? Go to Now to Play Games on YouTube. Go subscribe to us there. Follow us on Instagram. Find us on all the podcasting services. And with that, I'm John. That's Finn. Rose is in the background yelling at us that we've been talking too long. Go play some games, and we'll see you next week.